Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Calvin Tobin Show. I am your host, Calvin Tobin. Today we have a lot to talk about, so let's get right into it. Oh, right. Since the 2022 MLB season has ended, the MLB offseason has been astronomically nuts because so many all-star and superstar players went to new places. And for starters, Aaron Judge signed a 9-year, $360 million deal with the New York Yankees. And originally with this situation, it looked like he was going to sign with the San Francisco Giants, and it's a good thing that he didn't, because now all Yankee fans are on cloud nine that their hero gets to stay in the Big Apple. And as for the New York Mets, they signed a couple of all-stars themselves. And first off, they signed Justin Verlander to a 2-year, $86.7 million deal. And when the 2025 year comes, he does have a $35 million vesting option from there. And what's really cool about this situation of Justin Verlander going to the Mets is he actually gets to reunite with a former teammate of his in Max Scherzer, and he used to play with Max Scherzer back in Detroit from 2010 to 2014. And the other signing that the New York Mets made was signing Carlos Correa to a 12-year, $350 million deal. And the craziest part about this entire signing with Carlos Correa is that he originally signed with the San Francisco Giants for a $350 million deal, and in the most shocking turnaround, he decided that he was going to go to the Mets right before he was about to get announced as a Giants player. And he signed for less money, so it's really crazy because $350 million deal would have been a top 5 highest paid contract in MLB history, and he decided to go lower with the money, which proves to me that he is another player that loves the sport of the game instead of signing just for the money, because you don't see that a lot nowadays, because money just goes straight to the guy's head. And now, a huge deal that just got signed, and Boston was the one that gave out this contract, is they signed their main guy in Rafael Devers to an 11-year, $331 million deal. And this deal made Rafael Devers' contract the 6th highest MLB contract in MLB history, surpassing Bryce Harper by $1 million. And the highest paid contract, which I'm sure everybody knows, is Mike Trout, as he signed with the Los Angeles Angels on a $426.5 million deal. Now, with Rafael Devers signing with Boston, Boston knew they had to keep him because he is their best guy right now, and right now the reason of why they had to keep him is because of two things. One, he just came off a great year and having a batting average of .296, 88 RBIs and 27 home runs. And the other thing is Boston knows that this guy is going to be their pathway back to the playoffs, and it's going to be starting next year, because Boston came in last place in the AL East in 2022, sir. So Boston is going to really need Rafael Devers to keep up what he's doing and what he has been doing all career long. And the number 17 TCU Horned Frogs needed every point of Mike Miles Jr.'s 33-point game in their stunning comeback against the number 19 Baylor Bears, beating them 88-87. Now, how did this game play out? Well, to start off this game, Mike Miles Jr. scored the first seven of the first 13 points of TCU's points, but from there, Mike Miles Jr.'s scoring didn't do all that much and all that well because Baylor was just coming right out of the gate as strong as possible because Baylor was hitting on every single level because Baylor had the lead the entire first half. Baylor was able TCU was able to stay within striking distance of Baylor for a little bit of the first half. It was about half of the first half, and then after the halfway mark of the first half, this is when Baylor really started to run away with the game. And how they were able to do it is because of two things, which was quick passing and strong rebounding. And the reason they were able to do this is they were able to go at their own pace, which was quick thinking, and it worked out well because during that first half, they were up by as much as 17, but TCU was able to come back a little bit and make it look not as bad and get within 10 right before halftime came over, with the score being 39-49. Now, in the second half, it was a completely different story for TCU because they matched what Baylor did on the offensive end by scoring 49 points in the second half. And TCU, Mike Miles Jr., this is when he really started to go off, and this is where it helped him to get all the way up to 33 points and help TCU win this game. And we all thought that this game was out of reach and no chance of TCU coming back because Baylor was up by nearly 20 points. And now, the second half, it was a completely different story because, as well, TCU imposed their will on defense, forcing Baylor shot selection, and they also committed a lot of fouls. And yeah, fouls may not help all the time, but in this situation, it did. But at the same time, not so much because Baylor was nearly perfect from the free throw line, only missing 5 shots. And yeah, that is a good overall number, but it's more impressive when it's when you're shooting at 84.8% and it's 28 for 33. That's what's more impressive, especially at the collegiate level. But here's the thing, this is where the game got really exciting because in the final 5.5 minutes, TCU was able to get within striking distance of Baylor, and then it got to a point where it was score for score and who was going to score last or who was going to have the ball last. Baylor did have the ball last, but TCU got the last shot off, and it was all thanks to Chuck O'Bannon Jr., and this is how it happened. There was 11 seconds left in the game to go, and Chuck O'Bannon Jr. had the ball, and he wasted about 8-9 seconds left in the game, and then he was able to get to an open spot, put up a shot that originally thought was to be a 3, which would have been 89-87, but then it was reviewed and it ended up being a 2-pointer, which then gave TCU the victory, winning 88-87, and Baylor suffered a second straight loss. And now the Phoenix Suns have lost yet again, and this time they lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers in low-scoring fashion, losing to them 90-88. The Phoenix Suns have not been themselves at all from what they were for the past couple of years, because last year they were 64-18, and based on the regular season, they were the best team in the West and looked to be the best team in the whole NBA, because for one, they only had 18 losses, and because of this loss against Cleveland, they have now suffered their 19th loss of the season. And what Phoenix has done over the last month, it has not looked pretty at all, because they have been on a losing spree like crazy. They have looked absolutely atrocious, and this is the Suns team that we're used to seeing. And it makes sense because Devin Booker is out with a left groin strain, and he's most likely not likely to come back for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Now, what have this Phoenix Suns endured over the last month? Well, over the last month, they have only won 4 times, and their record is 4-12 over that span. It's just astronomically bad for what, and astronomically shocking too, for what the Suns have turned into. And right now, their record is 20-19. And over the next 2 weeks, their schedule looks pretty damn scary for them, because for one, they got to play Cleveland again, they got to play the Warriors, they got to play the Nuggets, they got to play Memphis, and they have to play Brooklyn in their next 5 of their next 7 games. And there's a good chance that when that 2-week span is over, and with Brooklyn being their last game, and the record, like I said, the record is 20-19 right now, there is a good chance that their record is going to be 21-25, because the only team that I can see Phoenix beating, as the way that they're playing right now, are the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, with Cleveland's victory, they are now 25-14. And what's going on in the East? The race for the top spot just got even closer, and it's about as close as you can get without teams jumping up a spot or 2 or falling down a spot or 2. And there are 3 teams right now that are tied at 25 wins apiece in the East, and that's Milwaukee, Brooklyn, and Cleveland. Both Milwaukee and Brooklyn are tied at 25-13, while Cleveland is 25-14, and then Boston is still at the very top at 26-12. Right now, Boston is still a little safe because they only have 12 losses, while Brooklyn and Milwaukee have 13 losses, and Cleveland has 14 losses. But between Milwaukee, Brooklyn, and Cleveland, even though there's a 1-loss difference between second and third place, it just takes 1 loss or 1 victory before the entire standings between second, third, and fourth place will be completely flipped around. And it's only a matter of time before we may see Boston finally taking over, because their month of December, that didn't look too hot, but it is a new year and a new month. So Boston is most likely and can get back into the win column and just keep that first place mark going. But it just takes 1 loss or 1 victory, and we got a whole different turnaround and a whole different standpoint of what we're going to be looking at second, third, or fourth place. All right, that's the end of the Calvin Tobin Show. Please subscribe to my channel at Calvin Tobin Show so you don't miss out on any sports news, and please follow me on Instagram at Calvin Tobin Show so you don't miss out on any sports news whatsoever. And I'm out.